Welcome to Matters Financial, Geopolitical from the Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. I thought I'd start with two photographs that caught my attention. This is Playground by Mwangi Kirubi via Culture Trip, and I thought to myself, wouldn't we all like to be in that kind of mood? When I was in London, we used to take the girls to a playground by the River Thames. It's just between Putney and Wandsworth, and it made me think of those times. And then this photograph by Dan Waiharo, Starfish, of course coming from Mombasa. That caught my attention. I remember so many starfish that we picked up in the old days. They used to smell, but then there would be a lovely shell. Macro thoughts. Bitcoin hit another new record high. Well, what do you think of that? 30th of December, as I've said, ad infinitum, because it's so depressing, because I didn't do anything about it. And I go back to Lefebvre, you can write something, but if you don't do anything about it, it's all a waste of time. I said my optimal portfolio at this moment looks like this. One, long Bitcoin up 200%, long Bitcoin short gold up about 192%, because you've lost 8% or something on gold. Bit more than that. Long sterling versus the shilling. We've had a good rebound in sterling, although it's now coming under a little bit of pressure, and I tend to think we're going to have a little bit of a wobble, because I'm not convinced she's going to get a majority, although I was 2 weeks ago. And then I said long Safaricom was my fourth choice, and that hit a record high a couple of days ago. Bitcoin, another chart, this is from Holger, $2,900. Goodness, it was below 1,000 when I was talking about it. Gold headed for a 7-month high. We're now at 1292. The yen rose to the strongest since April, 109.28. 10-year treasury yields fell to the lowest since November. We've had a big macro moves in the markets, and they're not over. And really gold, after trading dreadfully, do you remember when it sort of got up the first time and just fell right down? I think 1220, if I'm not mistaken, was where it stabilized. And since then, it's been going up very, very steadily. 10-year treasury yields hit the lowest level this year, big move there, curve flattening. Increasingly, people are betting that this next quarter point increase, which is expected, predictable and predicted, will happen in June. But bear in mind that a weaker dollar has also created an effect of easing 25 basis points, which I'm sure is in the back of people's minds. The dollar's stupidly strong link with bonds, and this is particularly noticeable with the dollar yen. Mexico's peso, look at that, ignores Trump with no sign of a border or a major crackdown on illegal immigration. Let me go back, give you some home thoughts, and then you'll indulge me. The thing about elderly parents, and my father is 81, is that there are moments of incredible lucidity and luminous thinking, as there was a couple of days ago when he was completely appraised of the situation he was in and what he was going to do about it. In fact, wanted to go back to Mombasa to disavow him of the notion. And then there are other moments when characters, some long dead, are in his room, and I half expect to reach out and touch my grandfather, my dad's grandmother, various uncles, like my uncle Ghulam Hussain. And as I enter his spirit world, I recall all these personalities who are also remarkable in their own right. One of whom was my Ghulam's uncle, who was extremely good-looking, Bollywood type. And his favourite evening tipple was a few tots of Shivas Regal with freshly made samosas. Never forget that. I'd like to thank His Excellency Johan Borgstam for the invitation yesterday for the Swedish National Day. Thoroughly enjoyed it. He made a very delicate speech about feminist foreign policy and a lot more. I like this photograph by Faith Kanja, a sundowner at Samburu Game Reserve. And you can see the elephant in the background. I've been wanting it December, but they can't get me there, so flights are full. Adnan Khashoggi, Saudi arms merchant and world-class playboy, has died. And he actually owned at one time the Mount Kenya Safari Club property that sits on the slopes of Mount Kenya. And I've sat at that bar and half expected William Holden or Adnan Khashoggi to pop in. The Fairmont Mount Kenya was in Nanyuki, founded in 1959, became a mecca for the international jet set. And I wrote this time in 2012 about, I was actually going to the Mara, but I started off as if I were going to the Fairmont Mount Kenya. We were not going as far as that, only 2 days' journey in the ox cart to a bit of El Dorado. My father had been fortunate enough to buy in the bar of the Norfolk Hotel from a man wearing an old Etonian tie. So says Elspeth Huxley's The Flame Trees of Thika. If you haven't read it, you should. It's a beautiful book. Look at those breakfast moments you just want to experience. That's Fairmont. And also we featured Fairmont Mount Kenya on our Kenya travel directory. Have a look at that photograph as well. I like this photograph. Polar photographer shares his view of a ferocious but fragile ecosystem indeed. Let's hope it survives. Global warming. Political reflections, oh my, so there's a lot going on. Latest YouGov UK election model results show a Conservatives 22 seats short of a majority. That has gone from being the biggest majority post-World War II, which I thought she was on for, to this. And that's another subject for discussion. But essentially, the YouGov is seeing the Conservatives winning 304 seats and Labour 266. But a lot of people have got issues with the methodology and are saying that she's going to have a much more decisive victory. Well, we're going to find that out, no doubt. This I found interesting. Majority of British voters agree with Corbyn's claim that UK foreign policy increases risk of terrorism. An overwhelming majority of people agree with Jeremy Corbyn that British involvement in foreign wars has put the public at greater risk of terrorism, according to a new poll. The exclusive ORB survey for The Independent found 75% of people believe interventions in Iraq, Afghanistan and Libya have made atrocities on UK soil more likely. The poll was conducted before Saturday night's devastating attack comes after Mr. Corbyn was lambasted for suggesting foreign policy decisions were linked to terrorism in the UK and that the war on terror had failed. The question for Jeremy Corbyn is, is there going to be an epiphany in this matter that will propel Corbyn to general election victory and success at 10 Downing Street? That's something we're going to find out. I'll rip up human rights laws that impede new terror legislation, Theresa May. Saudi Arabia and UAE closed airspace to Qatari flights as Gulf diplomatic standoff deepens. We know about that. Trump tweeted, "So good to see the Saudi Arabia visit with the king and 50 countries already paying off. They said they would take a hard line on funding." Extremism in all reference was pointing to Qatar. Perhaps this will be the beginning of the end to the horror of terrorism, Trump said. Max Fisher, in response to those two tweets, had a few quick thoughts on President Trump seeming to abandon the US-Qatar alliance over Twitter, which is absolutely unprecedented. It is true that Qatar is a problematic ally, and there are non-ridiculous cases for abandoning it. What's troubling is why and how it was done. Fair point. Qatar's real crime is to bet on the Muslim Brotherhood as a tide of rebellion ripped through the Arab world, says the Financial Times, part of the story. I'll put up a photograph of the Emir of Qatar and President Ashram Ghani when I was at the Doha Forum in Doha. Traders see a buying opportunity in Qatar turmoil. The index of stocks have fallen to a 16-month low. Forward contracts on the Rial touched a record high. extra yield being demanded by investors to hold Qatari bonds over US debt. It's the highest in a year. International reserves climbed every month this year, $34 billion. It's home to $335 billion sovereign wealth fund, among the largest globally. So they can withstand some pressure, but they're going to need to sort this out, because I can see the Saudis playing a very tough game here, enforcing divestments internationally, for example, at rock bottom prices. 2016, May, I talked about Qatar punching beyond its size. I said Qatar is a big player in the region, punching far beyond its absolute size. Estimates are that there are fewer than 300,000 Qatari citizens, both in terms of hard and soft power, and in a geopolitical context. Qatar played a big role in toppling Gaddafi in Libya, and its influence can be seen similarly in the move to remove President Assad in Syria. In foreign policy terms, Qatar has packed a big punch beyond merely hosting the US military at Udeid Air Base. And then in 2011, I wrote a piece, Soft Power, Qatar and Al Jazeera. And I took this photograph one day as I flew from Doha from the sky. UAE's Attorney General says sympathizing with Qatar on social media is considered a punishable crime. Goodness. Comey, of course, is expected up imminently. He tells Sessions, don't leave me alone with Trump, apparently. Justin Trudeau, how do we get young leaders to take action in their communities? Thanks, Barack Obama, for your visit and insights tonight in my hometown. The blowback from Trump for that will be quite severe, Justin. Japanese yen. Now, this was a chart taken yesterday, but right now we're at 109.27. My target is 108.12. Let's move on to the currency markets. Euro dollar 112.53, dollar index 96.63, Japanese yen, as we said, 109.30 now, Swiss franc 0.9634, the pound 128.94. I'm looking for a wobble to 128. Aussie, now that had a good GDP number, 0.3%. It's good these days, 0.7550 trading. India rupee 64.435, South Korean won 11.2381, the Rial 3.2775, Egyptian pound 18.126. Egypt's fortunes have really turned around. They bit the bullet on the economy. They did a lot of right things, particularly in that space. South African rand, well, we're not right at the top of resistance. We backed off. That was around 12.68. We're now at 12.87. But I think, South Africa's challenges are not going away anytime soon. Dollar index, I'll put up a one-year chart. Been soft. I thought it was going straight to 93.50. But I think now, if Comey disappoints and doesn't have his case stuck to Trump, we're going to get a relief rebound, aren't we? Euro dollar, let's take a look at that. Where is that? 112.55, very firm, looking for 114.50. Euro has strengthened about 7% against the dollar in 2017. There's more to go. It dropped for the previous 3 years. Commodity markets, gold makes a run towards $1,300 as risk flares from UK to the Middle East. Gold has surged 13%, Bitcoin up 200%. That spread trade is still up 187. Gold has surged 13% in 2017, eking out gains every month, and a Bloomberg survey this week signaled a further advance. The latest leg up has been supported by an increase in haven demand as UK voters head to the polls on Thursday, with the outcome set to dictate how the country handles Brexit. The same day, Comey is scheduled to appear before a congressional panel to testify about his probe into Donald Trump's campaign ties to Russia. Rising political uncertainty continues to provide support for gold. Well, it's a geopolitical proxy, geopolitics of it. But I saw a tweet from somebody saying, the epicenter of geopolitical uncertainty right now is Washington. Gold, let me put up a chart here, 12.93 now. Oil traded near a 3-week low, then rebounded. Currently, US crude oil is at $48 a barrel. My target from the 8th of May is $32 a barrel. And I think, we've passed that Wizard of Oz moment. There is no one behind the curtain. Crude oil prices in extremis move exponentially. The move has all the ingredients for turning exponential. But of course, we can get these brutal rebounds which cut you up and leave you bleeding on the floor. Sub-Saharan Africa, this year there'll be 4 pivotal elections across the continent, namely in Kenya, Rwanda, Angola all in August, and Liberia in October. Murithi Mutiga, who's the senior Horn of Africa analyst with the International Crisis Group, says this means the potential for a contested outcome, he's talking about Kenya, resulting in intercommunal conflict or violent street protests remains high, he says. The street, of course, as we've said before, is an area of contestation for so many people. So many countries. Star rapper Akon mulls IPO of his Chinese-funded African solar unit. He really hasn't got a lot of credit for this, and he's done rather well. South Africa slipped into recession as the economy shrank in Q1. Technical recession for the first time since 2009 after the economy contracted in the first quarter, led by weak manufacturing and trade sectors. I was surprised at that because, they've had good rains, ex-Cape Town, of course, down south. And normally when you get good rains, the economy does well, but it tells you how weak the real economy is, that even that support has not been able to keep it above the recessionary number. Have a look at this chart from Karen Richards. Enters a recession as GDP contracts 0.7% in Q1. South African all shares up 3.16% this year, dollar versus rand. I said it was expensive when we were at 12.70 area. But it's been a very interesting currency to watch because it's also been a proxy for international appetite for risk, which has been higher than normal. Egypt's foreign exchange reserves have overtaken Nigeria's for the first time since 2011. They're getting things right. Nigerian all share up 19.82% this year and is now in a bull market. Ghana Stock Exchange up 13.48% this year and entered a bull market a while back. The latest Central Bank of Kenya data shows that mobile payments grew 15% to 1.19 trillion at the end of April compared to 1.04 trillion during a similar period last year. But then I did see something from somebody saying, if you look at it on a more short-term horizon, it's actually turned negative, but I haven't seen that confirmed. Oman firm buys 40% of fuel marketer Hass Petroleum here. In Kenya, the Omanis have been sniffing around for a while. They've got a very big connection, of course, with this part of the world, and Zanzibar, you will remember. But it speaks to the desire of international investors to look through the election and get some, get the ticket written. Kenya will offer $750 million in guarantees in Kenya Airways to Kenya Airways' existing creditors to help the heavily indebted carrier secure financing from other sources to complete its recovery, a cabinet document showed on Tuesday. The guarantees approved by the cabinet will cover $525 million owed to the US Exim Bank and the rest to local lenders, so the document. Airline partly owned by Air France and the Kenyan government has struggled to return to profit. The government will also convert its existing loans to the carrier into equity. Now that's the key issue. And I think they've got to be sensitive. This was the first IPO ever done. Shareholders have been long suffering. I think the government's got to be careful, probably better taking a good coupon, a fair one, and then looking to shield existing shareholders from any big-scale dilution. Kenya Airways is up 13.67% year to date. Some of its resilience is around that way of thinking that I was just talking about. I interviewed Michael Joseph, who's the chairman, who signaled all this was coming. Take a look at that. Barclays Kenya is up 18.75% over 4 weeks. And really the certainty over the Barclays PLC divestment of Barclays Africa Group, they sold a bunch of shares, has fueled that rally. It's a very cheap share. The best performing share in Nairobi is actually Standard Group, That's up 116.66% this year. Nairobi All Share eased back 0.92% yesterday, but it's still up 11.18% year to date. NSE 20 is up 8.51% year to date. Once again, thank you for stopping by.